gentlemen, please welcome to the stage your next panel. We have the President and CEO of TSM More, Mohamed Galal, CEO of PJP Investments, Tapan Vaidya, the Head of Information Technology and Business Excellence at the EROS Group, Rushikesh Bhatt. We have the founder and CEO of Mishi, Mustafa Khanwala, the Director of Digital and Innovation for KPMG Lower Gulf, Naamani. We have the Chief Transformation Officer of BinDawood Holding, Mohammed Belkhayatte. And to moderate this, is any of them coming to the stage? Oh, you're all down there. That's why I was getting a little bit scared then. And finally, at the head there of our conclave, please welcome the founder and CEO of Jensen Matthews PR and Finsight News, Loredana, Matei, your moderator. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Katie. That was a great introduction. We are right here, for those that don't see us, deep in the pit of technology. I think we had today interesting conversations. I feel like it's been leading up to this tech panel / roundtable / boardroom conversation. We've heard about the metaverse and how important it is and how important it's going to become the AI and a lot more. Now, definitely, the pandemic, which we no longer want to mention, has become the accelerator for everything that we are discussing here today. 2019 was a totally different year. Even for us in our practice, we are seeing a total shift towards technology. We are shifting towards technology. And today we are discussing about the practicality about what adopting technology actually means in terms of money, investments, long-term investments. How do we even factor in fickle technologies, if I can use this word? How do we choose them to make sure that we are not throwing our money out the window for a technology that's not going to be relevant maybe in 5 years? So we have a very heavy topic here. Unfortunately, we are a bit pressed for time. We're trying to make it as relevant as possible. I'll start with the first question. Before the pandemic, after the pandemic, that's the line for accelerated digital transformation. Let's talk about what was, let's say, one technology that you've adopted, what made you adopt that technology, and how do you see it so far in practice? This is a question that I would like to have an answer from everyone at the table. I'll start with Mr. Tapan here.
Thank you. And it's great being here for the conclave, tech conclave. I'm from a slightly different industry, restaurant industry, so my responses, my comments would talk a lot about what goes on in our industry. So there's no question, post-COVID, the acceleration towards the digital transformation was phenomenally pacey. Having said that, we in the restaurant industry, at least the organized brands in the QSR, CDR, and fine dining business, we always had embraced technology. Now, what is technology? I would say that what you see around you that wasn't there when you were born is technology. Now, I started my journey in this industry many, many years ago, last millennium to be precise. And at that point, on my first day, waiting at tables in a restaurant, the only technology in use was a calculator. Then in the 1990s, early 90s, came the Casio cash registers. And it was the technology of the time. And then, of course, we all know, in the 90s, you had various POS systems started coming into play. And then the internet, dot-com bust, and so on and forth. Today, it's a completely different landscape in our restaurants. Now, we have technologies help us when facing customers. We use technology in the operations inside the kitchen. We use technology in the back office. And we use technology in acquiring customers, in marketing. So now, there's no question of anyone doing anything without some sense of technology. So the industry is well invested, and because of COVID, if anything has happened, is now more and more new features keep coming. AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, everything is coming into play. So that really is my view on your question.
Thank you so much, Tapan. Okay, I'll take it to you, Mohammed. How is it looking in the mall? What was a technology that you adopted and you had to because consumers changed their behaviors?
Well, as we all lived through the events of 2020, 2021, 22, technology was always the behind scenes. And the customer and the consumer and the client was not very much really dealing with it. But now in our business, the brick and mortar, the shopping centers, we are now forced and actually glad that we are now presenting to the clients and the customers the technology. We are presenting it not just in the management of the operation, the mobile apps, the maintenance of the buildings, the management, the BMS system, which was BMS, now it's all really electronic and very high tech. But my concern or my really interest today is to talk more about the experience with the clients. And now having restaurants with virtual experience is now very important. The background in the restaurant, the screens around, the menu, how it's presented, the way you order the food even, the way the client now is ordering himself on the tablet and not just waiting for the server or the restaurant to take the order in. As for retail, in the past, we call it really past, 10, 15, 6 years ago, was the mirrors where someone would have stand there and basically they take the measurement of your body and all the brands, the lifestyle would just come flipping and you can flip it there. The physical digital, and we've seen the experience in one of the shopping centers here and how successful it was, the combination of online with the physical experience in the store. Now, the client is so demanding and also so spoiled. So we have to basically provide all the means of the comfort, the convenience, and the tech that are used to from the mobile, from the tablet, from his daily life, in the daily experience, to try to encourage the customer to physically come to the shopping center. I'm going to just, stop at this here and then move on.
Yeah, I think if I wanted to put some numbers to that, at the end of the day, we saw, through the pandemic, obviously, the footfall went to near zero for a lot of people, but then it's come roaring back. So there were a lot of transitory technologies implemented for a while, right? Even Shopify and Amazon have now admitted that they're overinvested in e-commerce. They came back, said that there was not going to be that maintained growth of e-commerce. So in-store definitely is back, but what came back with it was an increase in cost. So a lot of retailers, especially in Europe, you see this even in the US, and in this region, it was helped by a few other factors, right? Saudization and those kinds of things. But generally, retailers saw 25 to 30% increase in staff wages. This means that to operate the same store, even if your sales went back to 2019 levels, you're paying a lot more for it, right? So you had to increase the sales and find a way to reduce costs. So, obviously, Mishi has a self-checkout technology. I'm biased, but I've seen that self-checkout has come in all kinds of forms, even the ones we don't touch, like restaurants, for example, right? With more and more McDonald's and Burger King, as well as any other QSR, moving to self-ordering systems, more people in the kitchen doing the actual work of delivering. Same thing when it comes to self-checkout. There was a push when it came to also wallet-based adoption and 50% reduction in cash-based payments as well. Cash did come back from zero, but 50% reduction overall, and the wallet-based payments have started to increase a lot more. So even simple things like Apple Pay, Google Pay, which are not quite innovations, they were there before the pandemic, but the acceleration in them has stayed. It's not actually gone down. It's continued to go up, not as sharply as it did then, but those users who moved did not come back. Not so much, it's not still super clear for order at table those kinds of technologies, right? Speaking in the restaurant kind of industry, or how many of the the virtual kind of shopping situations will still continue to be there. That is still to be seen. But I feel like, things with what's going to happen with Apple is going to be extremely key, right? With their spatial technology and seeing if spatial apps start to become a thing, then that will be a new domain within which I think AR will have a part to play.
Absolutely, that's for the future part. Apple definitely changed the conversation this week. I'll take it to you, Mohammed. This question is important for you. What happened? What did you see in your practice from 2020 up to the present?
So I'll give a view from a consulting perspective, but also having lived on the corporate side. I think COVID gave a reality check to most of the retailers. So depending on your industry, it could be retail in clothing, luxury, eyewear, or fast-moving consumer goods. In many cases, an online channel became a necessity, especially in the cases where if I don't need to be physically in the store, if this is a repeat item, I order contact lenses, so I know what they are. What do I need to? So some retailers almost force themselves out of the business if they ignore the fact that unless I need to be physically there, I'm in a clothing, I need to do a try-on for a new item, then I'll go there. If not, if it's a shirt that I always buy for, like in my case, suits, etc., that technology became a must, not just something that will add to my business, actually to help me survive. So that's a shift in also what channels you need to provide for different use cases in a way.
Absolutely. I think we went towards need versus wants for a very long period of time. I mean, in the aviation, we see a bit of a comeback this year, which is very exciting. I'll take it to you, Rushikesh. I think we are here again a year later having a similar conversation. But what's your take on this?
So when it comes to technology implementations, what has happened is we had a digital presence since about 5 to 7 years, from 2015 onwards. But the acceleration which happened, because of the COVID times and the amount of investments which went into online technology in terms of AI, in terms of digital marketing, all that has actually increased. Okay. And now you can see that people walking in back to the store. So there's a domain called as phygital, which we all know that. So there is a lot of investment which goes into omnichannel. So this is where the focus has been.
Fantastic. Mohammed, your take on it.
Okay, from retail perspective, so it's similar to the restaurant. So we had witnessed the impact of COVID on our business, mainly in the acceleration of the transfer, the digital adoptions. Different technologies are available, but we have to see what is fit for purpose and what is relevant to our customers. The first, what we did is to have a loyalty program, which we launched in 2022, and it was a successful project. In less than 3 years, we have more than 3 million enrollments, and we started to enroll and to analyze this data and see what the customer needs and what customer wants. And based on that, we take actions. What's the pain points areas and how to fix them and what technology is required. Things like fast checkouts, seamless experience, delivery, fast deliveries, all these solutions has been in place.
Thank you for that. Now, we've heard today the consumer, which is the driver for everything we do, is constantly shifting. We have multiple generational shifts at the moment going on, multiple buyers in stores and online demanding a lot. And every new technology, like Apple this week, creates a surge of intention in the side of the consumer. Now, as retailers, as consultants for the retail industry, when you're sitting in the middle of all this data, which is quite a lot, how do you actually prioritize which technology is important today, which technology is important 5 years from now? What is the criteria for these decisions? I'll take it to you, Mohammed, because I think you have quite a bit of experience dealing with the diversity of data at this point.
Sure. I mean, I will link this to, let me call it the value chain of the business. So if unless these initiatives are just to keep the lights on, so maintain my business to stay afloat, then each of those initiatives I need to check. Is it helping me, as I mentioned? It's a channel I need to create to maintain my sales, not for my market share to erode or decline. So that's, let's say, this is a survival sort of criterion. The other one is more of, if I'm investing, where does it help me from a value chain? Let's say we're talking clothing or luxury. Is it helping increase the footfall when inside my store or online visits, which means indirectly it will lead to more conversion, so more sales. This is how I need to link it. Is it helping in a customer experience, which means one, they'll buy more first time and then repeat. So these are the criteria that need to be considered other than this is new technology everyone is talking about. No offense, metaverse, for example, is a very interesting topic, but in many cases it might not be applicable or too expensive for a specific business. So this is how the prioritization, which will also lead how you do the ROI calculation. I need to make sure I can link it to one part of my value chain, revenue, cost optimization, even employee experience or customer experience, because also employees are important in retail, cannot be only the customer. So these are the criteria to consider.
Definitely agree with you there. The fact about cutting the projects that are not relevant. We saw this as well with our retailers, customers, prospects. 90% of projects were shelved. You know, everything that was only must-have was on the docket, nice to have was put out. But then post the pandemic, what's happened is that focus led to good results. And a lot of retailers are continuing on that. It does mean that they have lesser budget for complete, moonshot kind of innovations, but then the ones that they are planning, the ones that have proven themselves, they're able to roll out faster, right? And because there is the increase in repeat frequency. For example, we saw with EROS, the third largest grocery in Spain, after putting in, through COVID, anyway, they had 11% increase in shoppers coming more often because there weren't other shops to go to. But then post doing changes in the store, introducing self-checkout, they were also seeing people coming back 33% more often in the loyalty customer group. Not in all the groups, but loyalty customers were coming more often because they were not afraid of getting stuck inside the store.
It's in a way setting a new trend or a culture that every project owner within the organization, he or she would need to bring sort of a case. Why do I need this? Is it because everyone else is doing it, or this is the new technology, or it actually helps us specifically in a certain aspect of...
Yeah, either save money or make money.
Yeah, it has to make sense.
What's in between, the whole experience. Because again, if you want to reduce your cost and increase your sales, if you're not catering to what's required from, in this case, retailers, then basically you're missing the point.
Yeah, sure.
Just allow me just to comment on this, because I'm maybe the only malls person in this discussion. Well, the cost-effective analysis at the end of the day was the overuse of technology is turning out to be better for the business. It's increasing revenues. It's increasing the footfall, which is more important, leading to the increased revenue. And also having this high tech in the management systems is also helping us basically reduce our operational costs in terms of people costs, because people do cost a lot also now today. And it's not, human element is not an inexpensive cost anymore. It's very expensive, not just in terms of salaries and packages, but in terms of mistakes that could happen, which could lead to big amounts of losses. Operation of shopping centers, large shopping centers, regional shopping centers, in terms of uses of technology is optimizing the use of chillers, of air conditioners, of consumption, electricity, same situation. So at the end of the day, I think we're benefiting more from, again, this is the behind of the scene technology. What is really more important now is the technology that we are using inside the stores. I had the chance yesterday to go to SeaWorld, the new attraction at Yas Island. And I had the chance to see SeaWorld in the US many years ago. it's Dubai, it's UAE again. You feel the technology everywhere. So you're there to basically see the sea life experience. This is 20% of the experience that I had when I visited Sea Life Yas Island yesterday. The screens, the efficiency, the technology that is being used in that box really totally outweighs the sharks and the sea lions and everything.
I've witnessed the construction of that building for the past 1.5 years because I live right next door. So absolutely agree with you. That building is a marvel. I'm yet to go and see it, though. I should be doing that. And what you just mentioned is actually makes a real nice transition into return on investment. Some success story around return on investment. Let's give hope to the room that investments are not just going to be at loss for many, many years from now. I'll start with you, Tapan.
Sure. So we, of course, invested in different facets within our restaurant operations. But I'll talk about this one particular investment. We have made in investment in an inventory module. So this module essentially keeps track of all the inventory of ingredients in all our restaurants. Let's talk about a typical day. Say at the start of the day, the system knows the opening inventory of every ingredient. Then 11 o'clock, you open the restaurant, start selling, start making pizza, start selling. So the system knows exactly what is sold and therefore which ingredients are consumed. At the end of the day, you feed the closing inventory in the system, and the system finally tells you, based on the recipes, based on the sales, based on existing inventory, the system tells you what your ideal food cost should have been versus what your actual food cost is. Now, food cost is the largest cost element in the profit and loss statement of a restaurant. And so this is a big deal for any restaurant operator, getting the food cost right. And what is a right food cost? Low food cost is not right. Accurate food cost is right. So whatever your recipes are, your teams must follow the recipe to the T and deliver food cost that's accurate. So we actually incentivize our restaurants, and we actually have an annual award for the restaurant with the minimum delta between actual and ideal food cost, which incidentally last year, Papa John's in Enoch gas station Al Khawanij won. They had a 0.1% delta, just 10 basis points. That's fantastic. So yeah, and this helps us rein in. See, everything you save in the food cost goes directly down to the bottom line.
And if
So that's
if it helps reducing waste, which is a lot, and it's in itself that's improving your margin, because if you overorder and then the items are not used, then you'll throw them. So that's in itself.
absolutely. So of course, the same system also allows us to predict, estimate, and then forecast and prepare orders. Yes.
Can I just add? Yes. So, taking on from you, we have something similar which we implemented for our vehicles. We have a lot of delivery vehicles. We are into the business of consumer electronics, and we have a lot of delivery and installations. So, with the vehicle tracking systems and the geofencing, there was a lot of intelligent data that was obtained. And from there, we were able to make very informed decisions in terms of how to do the route planning and all those areas. So with a fraction of investment, okay, the ROI was very high. Plus, it gives you a track of, whether the vehicle is being used appropriately. It helps you in your saving a fuel cost as well, because with a proper planning, and thus, you are also trying to make yourself compliant with the green energy that everyone is talking about.
That's correct. Mohammed, your thoughts on the ROI?
Well, it's a big challenge, maybe for the technology leaders to get the right technologies and challenges with the finance and the ROIs. First, technology adoptions should be aligned with the overall strategy of the organization. It should be planned in advance. There is a roadmap, there is a budget being planned for this technology. It should not be an ad hoc technology. It can be, but most of the time should be planned in advance. And ROI can be calculated in different formats. There's the direct ROI, which is in terms of cost savings or revenue generation, but is an indirect in terms of conversion rates, increase satisfaction. Customer satisfaction is an ROI. When you have satisfied customers coming with repeated purchases and can be represented in the basket size or increase in the sales, there is direct and indirect ROIs, and this is what we have to consider.
Totally agree with you. We often say to our clients in the PR business that ROI is not always quantifiable in numbers, but reputation. And reputation cannot really be collected in one big number, but it's palpable and it's out there, and you will know if you have a good or bad reputation, or if your business has a good or bad reputation at all times.
Yeah,
Sure.
On that point, to add to it, of course, brand value exists, right? There's no doubt across the whole brand. But when it comes to most technology adoptions, you want to be able to see it and force yourself, right, to convert that satisfaction number into recurring visits, which converts eventually into revenue made, right? Or, savings of time in terms of savings of cost. Because the problem otherwise that technologies faces, unless there's a clear allocated budget, like it would be with a big ERP installation, with a big POS, those are the ones that retailers know they will have to have. But for something completely new out of budget, you will have to prove yourself through the saving money or making money, because that's simply the fastest path to execution, right? That's what we've seen. I mentioned EROS's case. That resulted in 14% increase per user in the loyalty users because of them coming back more often, right? And when it came to Muji, they saw a 35% increase in basket value because of the quality of experience and conversion getting better. So it is because of other factors, but from there, I guess it's the duty of the team implementing it, whether it's external or internal, to really do the hard work of converting that into a number at the end of the day, something that can be quantified, something that's measurable against what you put in. Because, without that, we are really walking blind, right? What you measure, you actually get done.
That's correct. We have in 2023 budgetary restraints. We don't like to talk about it in this part of the world. Everything is fine. However, there are many, many companies cutting costs. Let's ask the question, how do you implement technology adoption, new cool stuff for your consumers, but also your budgetary restraints? I'll start with you, Tapan.
Okay, so see, every investment needs to show returns, and if an investment gives you the returns you want or exceeds, then it's worth making the investment. Now, I'll give you an example. Recently, I looked at what can be best described as a robotic vehicle. So I looked at this model where you have a cube of a vehicle with 4 tires, operated by battery with sensors and radars, integrated with your POS and the app, etc., which will take maximum of 4 large pizzas and 3 beverage bottles to the customer who places an order. I looked at it. It was a software and hardware as a service model, so you pay a monthly charge. After careful evaluation, we realized that for this one piece of artificial intelligence, we could actually recruit 2.5 heads of human intelligence. And so it just didn't work out. And either that price comes down or another player enters the market, we are back to square one. So sometimes it's difficult. You want new technology, you want artificial intelligence, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Mohammed?
Can I link this to the previous question about prioritization? Because they're all interrelated, actually. So when you get to the ROI, unless you've done the homework, it's too late. That's why. So when we talk about prioritization, if I don't make a case, that's why I use this term, like a typical business case, that this new technology would help me in the following: customer satisfaction, experience, improving indirectly revenues, costs, etc. And then based on this, on my case, I'll define what is basically the expected results in first quarter, second quarter, or year one, year two. When you get to the ROI, this is where you need to walk the talk. Whatever you promised in your that's why I said it's a mind shift. Whomever is asking for a product or a project would have to later on make sure whatever they promised, it's not accurate science, but it cannot be, we'll try, and if it doesn't work, then we have thrown that money. So all of those are related, and then later on you've earned your seat to get this project or more, or actually you don't have a case. That's my simple lineage or traceability between them.
Thanks for that. I just want to check on time. How much time do we still have available? Perfect. Oh, we are so good with the time. I'm very proud of us. Okay, so last question is for everyone. One piece of technology you're planning to adopt in the next 5 years, maybe, or although 5 years is a lot of time these days, and one piece of advice for your fellow retailers on how to, balance adopting technology, but also being good with money in times of almost recession outside the region. But, it affects us at one point. I'll start with you, Mohammed.
So for us, we're trying to make money out of the use of technology instead of making it just a cost center. So now the hype is we manage physical places, and the physical places are not in places anymore. Shopping centers are not as interesting as before. So we're coming up with the very first physical e-games hub in Cairo and in Riyadh. So it's going to be a 24/7, like being in Vegas, exactly. So it's on 40,000 square meters, it's quite big. It will also include an e-games academy and an e-games hostel. And the gamers, the young gamers, the gamers in general will have the chance to be able to physically come to the hub, which is a shopping center, and also be able also to promote the businesses around the hub, the fashion, the F&B, all of this. So it's an attempt. When it's open, we'll let you know if it's successful or it didn't achieve results.
Very exciting. That sounds really, really exciting. Please keep me posted about that. Tapan.
So let me quote Bill Gates. The first rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency. But the second rule is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. So it's very important to make sure your processes and your systems, your operations are healthy and sensible and logical for technology to come and help you. Tech for the sake of tech is no good. For a gimmick is no good. You've got to embrace technology in a way that adds value to your business. It's got to help unlock productivity levels of your employees. If that happens, then you have made a good choice. And that's how businesses need to go forward. Thank you.
Love that.
Yeah.
Mustafa.
That's a good one. And I think also the last one you mentioned, with the small robot Starship guys, I've known that company and actually met them 7 years ago when they were starting. It was a lot more expensive then, so it is coming down, but it's taking time. I think for us, we will continue to invest, in the areas that are giving us max value of self-checkout. We've actually gone from, starting with Scan and Go to adding self-checkout kiosks, more traditional, and now also adding MPOS, because we realize there's a combination of what the user already knows and then a new thing to bring to them. So I think in the next 5 years, I will see Scan and Go becoming more common. So the element of moving people from a physical kiosk location to their own mobile. But that's when also you will start seeing the right efficient usage of computer vision. That's what we're working on, because computer vision, the way that Amazon Go has done it, or like the store in Mall of Emirates with iFi, that's great for a showcase, that's great for a pilot. It's just not implementable for 95% of the stores out there, probably 99%. So we are looking at ways to use that in an efficient way just for the use cases of theft prevention, just for use cases of counting the items, then counting against categories. So taking those baby steps towards it, which will not incur a crazy infrastructure cost for the retailer. So I think in 5 years, we'll be able to use that for what we are calling, the more practical unmanned stores, some of which we've already launched in London, and, inshallah, we'll soon launch some in Dubai in the region.
Very insightful. I'll, in true fashion of a consumer, I'll be in a non-linear way. I'll go to you, Rushikesh.
So, in the next 5 years, what we see is, we have all the augmented realities and everything being more accepted and adopted. And with Apple launching the Vision Pro, and that's something where, with spatial information also being there. What I look forward to is something where we have a complete digital 3D store, where, actually the consumer can see the products in a 3D fashion rather than the 2D screens which are there. That is something which is very exciting and which looks forward for an adaptation.
Fantastic. Mohammed?
First, I agree totally with the idea of don't doing technology just for the sake of having it. Instead of have a checklist which technology I have, let's check which business needs I addressed and which problem I solved. From us, it is more about creating an interactive shopping experience in the stores. After the COVID, so we see that the comeback of the customers to the stores, we have to make that experience more interactive, make it through sales, point of sales, through digital, interactive digital screens, adding some artificial intelligence. Blockchain is one of the key technologies that we want to adopt to make sure that the transmission of data between us and the suppliers and the partners should go fluently without any middleman.
Mohammed, I'll end with you.
Thanks. So I'll, from a consulting perspective, I'll propose AI, but not as a slogan. So let me explain a bit. So today, AI is already used in retail for recommendations, pattern detection, just like certain customer-related behavior. But I would like to use AI for helping in making decisions on everything that we mentioned. So I'm in retail of luxury. Should I open 10 stores and 1 online channel? Or actually, I should have most of my channels online and then only a small store where I'll spend less. I'll use AI so that I can predict also, because not every single area online would be enough. If virtual fit for certain items is not good, then the digital, the 3D store will not work. Maybe I need the physical. So this could be something to leverage the power of AI, reducing the risk, since it's also another aspect of it.
Thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure moderating this Tech Conclave Roundtable conversation. Over to you, Katie, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you.